This is the first appearance of the Saviour to the apostles themselves, recorded in St. Luke. He places it after the return of the two from Emmaus. They had been discussing these things, and the Lord himself in person appeared in the midst of them. This "in the midst of them" has been picked up by commentators. Jesus in the midst. It's been noticed also by the whole spirituality of the Focolare movement. Jesus in the midst. Where the disciples are gathered in the name, there is the Lord in the midst. In the original text of the preface to the Holy Mass given by Paul VI, there was a reference to that, the Lord in the midst of his people. But there was a danger that it could be understood as only that, and there was a correction made. But that other element must not be forgotten either. That even without the Blessed Sacrament as such, the Lord is in the midst. Those of us who have been brought up in the tradition of powerful homemade prayer and prayer groups know that that promise has been claimed by many Christians over the centuries, and that the Lord has made himself felt present in the midst where two or three are gathered. And it is not contradictory, because it is but complementary to be aware that already in the assembly the Lord is in the midst, and as it were physically in the midst at the moment of consecration. It's something of the shock of this. He placed himself in the midst. And that should never be lost sight of, lest our being together become a turning back on ourselves, an encounter with each other, each looking the other in the eye, and, as it were, each scratching the other's back, forgetting who is actually there for and why we are there for. It is for Christ, and it is together that we look towards him. And by the way, also, the physical attitude of the body helps. When we look upwards and outwards towards him, it is far more likely to happen than when we look inwards towards ourselves and celebrate ourselves. The Lord in the midst, and the last thought of in practice. And then when liturgy becomes a performance, it is actually self-defeating. We lose many of the graces of encounter and intimacy because we're thinking about the performance. And many comments happen like that at the end of a liturgy. What a beautiful celebration, when actually the Lord might not have been met, but the attention was given to the celebration. It's far easier when calmly we are carried along by a liturgy which doesn't draw attention to itself, just works, prepared without any fuss or bother, without any loss of energy. It just calmly works, because the Lord is the attention given by the brethren, him. But the fact that the word peace comes in here, as it does actually in the equivalent in St. John, means that the tone of the encounter in the midst is that of shalom, the first word of the risen one to the brethren. Shalom Aleichem, peace to you, which the priest in East and West repeats in some shape or form. that also is the tone that he gives to the whole of not only Christian worship, but also Christian life. Worship must be peaceful. Encounter in depth is peaceful. And we need to learn this secret, not only of the Christian life, but of all life, to be well lived and celebrated when it's there, and not just when it's gone, in a requiem, is to understand the key. The Lord offers peace, and we mess it up. The peaceful soul is more likely to go through life in joy than the fidget, the one who can't mind his own business, the one who can't even handle his own business, that of his own soul. He can't be at peace. The unpeaceful soul is his own worst enemy. The atmosphere of these first appearances was one not only of peace, but of ecstatic joy. We forget what we say when we use that phrase, "He is risen." We are too used to it. We are too used to the fantastic thing that we have. This week is all one day, so big and so explosive that the joy and the shock have to be spread out over 8 days. But it should be spread out over a life. Why have our gaze towards the pavement like the apostles or rather the disciples on the way to Emmaus, not even noticing the man who's right next to us, the ground, the downward mode, the mega blues, out of which even Christians can't quite escape. Questo Vangelo è quello che segue quella presenza del Signore sulla via di Emmaus. Sono tornati e stanno discutendo tra di loro e appare il Signore stesso. È la prima apparizione ai discepoli insieme, secondo Luca, ma corrisponde un po' a quello di San Giovanni, in quanto abbiamo una cosa in comune, la parola shalom. Lui dà la sua pace all'assemblea e è il tono di fondo non soltanto della risurrezione, della pace acquistata, ma anche di tutta la vita cristiana. Se l'anima diventa a tanto costo il sangue prezioso e la tortura del Signore, vuol dire che non ha capito niente, perché come i discepoli di Emmaus fare la strada della vita stessa guardando il pavimento, quando la fonte della gioia è tutto accanto.
Cristo risusciti in tutti i cuori, Cristo si celebri, Cristo si adori, gloria al Signor. Cantate, o popoli, del regno umano, Cristo è sovrano, Cristo si celebri, Cristo si adori, gloria al Signor. Cristo risusciti in tutti i cuori, Cristo si celebri, Christus si adori. Gloria